Welcome, chosen ones, to this transformative journey. If you've ever felt like you're waiting for something bigger to happen in your life, then you're exactly where you need to be. In today's video, we're diving deep into divine timing, spiritual breakthroughs, and the incredible transformation that awaits you. The universe has aligned this moment for you right now, and everything you've been praying for is closer than you think. So, if you're ready to step into your divine purpose, to unlock the mysteries of your true potential, then make sure you stay with us through the entire video. It's not by accident that you're here. God's plan for your life is unfolding now, and you're about to witness miracles. You've been carrying a weight for far too long, a weight that's not just physical but emotional, mental, and spiritual. And it feels like it's finally catching up with you. You've been going through the motions, doing everything you're supposed to do, pushing yourself to keep going, even when everything inside you is telling you to stop. You've been surviving, but you haven't been living, not really. In the quiet moments, the ones when you're alone with your thoughts, it hits you. You're tired, not just physically, but deep down in your soul. There's a weariness that no amount of sleep or food can cure. Your heart is heavy, your mind is clouded, and your spirit is drained. The weight of it all has begun to feel like it's more than you can bear. The emotional exhaustion, the mental overload, the spiritual emptiness, they're all taking their toll. For so long, you've been pushing through life, doing what you had to do just to get by. There was no room for anything else, no room for joy, no room for peace, no room for true connection. You've been in survival mode, and at some point, it became normal. You didn't even realize you were living this way. It became just part of who you were, part of your routine. You woke up, went through the motions, did what needed to be done, and went to bed, exhausted, just to wake up and do it all again. But now, something has shifted. You feel it. That quiet stirring in your spirit that you can't ignore anymore. It's like your soul is finally waking up, finally realizing that it's been asleep for too long. Something inside you is rising, and it's impossible to deny. This feeling, this awareness, is the divine interruption you've been waiting for. You see, when you're living in survival mode, you're just getting by. You're doing enough to survive, but you're not thriving. You're not living fully. You're not stepping into the abundant life that God has promised you. Survival mode makes you think that you're okay, even when everything inside you is telling you otherwise. It makes you believe that just getting through the day is enough, that putting one foot in front of the other is all you need to do. But deep down, you know it's not enough. You've been in a state of emotional and spiritual numbness, and it's beginning to wear you down. There's a moment, though, when something shifts. And that's where you are right now. You've come to a breaking point, but don't mistake this for failure. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your awakening. You are realizing that you've been living in survival mode for far too long, and your spirit is telling you it's time for something different. It's time for more. The heavy burden you've been carrying, the one you thought you could handle, is no longer something you can carry on your own. You were never meant to carry it this long, and now, your heart is telling you that you need to release it. But you don't know how, do you? You don't know how to let go of the patterns, the habits, the old ways of thinking that have kept you stuck. You've become so accustomed to just surviving that it's hard to even imagine a life beyond it. But in this moment, in the quiet of your spirit, there is a stirring, a pull towards something greater. You've been surviving, but now it's time to live. There is a divine interruption happening in your life right now. It's not a coincidence that you're reading this. You've been led here for a reason. You are being awakened to the truth that you were never meant to stay in survival mode. You were created for so much more than just getting by. You've been carrying the weight of your past, of your fears, of your doubts, and of all the things you've tolerated because you thought that's just how life was. But this moment, this awakening, is God's way of saying, enough. Enough with the numbness. Enough with the endless cycle of survival. Enough with the weight that has held you back from your true purpose. It's time to wake up. This is the moment when everything shifts. The weight that you've been carrying is finally being revealed for what it truly is. It's not yours to carry. You've been holding on to it because you didn't know how to let go. But now, you are being shown that the way you've been living is not the life you were meant to live. God has more for you. He has something greater in store for you. And you can't step into that until you let go of what has been holding you back. For too long, you've been living in autopilot mode. You've been going through the motions, trying to stay afloat. But deep inside, you've been longing for something more. Your spirit has been crying out for change, and now, that cry is being answered. It's time to stop just surviving. It's time to start thriving. And that's going to require a shift in your perspective, a shift in your heart, mind, and soul. This awakening isn't going to be easy. It's going to feel uncomfortable at times. Because you've been living in survival mode for so long that it's become a part of who you are. Letting go of it will take time and effort, but it's necessary. You can no longer stay in the place you've been. You can no longer live a life that's only about getting by. It's time to live the life you were meant for. You are being awakened. Your spirit is rising. And it's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but that's okay. Transformation is rarely comfortable, but it's worth it. The life that awaits you is worth the discomfort of awakening. God is calling you to step into something greater, to stop surviving and start living. This moment, this awakening, is the beginning of a new chapter in your life. And while it might feel like everything is falling apart, it's actually coming together. This is your divine interruption. This is your time to rise. As the weight of survival mode begins to lift, you may notice something new, a deep stirring within your spirit. It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but it grows stronger as you listen to it. It's the sound of God calling you to something greater, something beyond the survival you've known. This is the divine interruption, the moment when everything in your life has prepared you for this very moment of awakening. You are being called to change, to rise from the ashes of your old life and step into the life you were always meant to live. You may feel overwhelmed. You may feel unsure. After all, you've been living in survival mode for so long that the thought of change can be terrifying. It's hard to imagine stepping into something new when the past has felt like an anchor, holding you in place. But that's the beauty of this spiritual interruption. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to awaken you. It's meant to stir your soul, to remind you that you are not stuck in the place where you've been for so long. You are being awakened to the truth that you are meant for more. At first, this awakening feels like uncertainty. You're not sure what's next, and the road ahead feels unclear. You may even question whether you are ready for the change you sense is coming. But let me remind you, this awakening is not about being perfect. It's about being willing. It's about opening your heart to the possibility of something new, something better, something that aligns with your true purpose. And the first step in that is recognizing that the survival you've been living is no longer enough. You were created for more. So, what does it look like to embrace this call to change? It starts with surrender. It starts with saying, God, I'm ready. Ready to leave behind the habits, the thought patterns, the toxic relationships, and the environments that no longer serve you. This is the beginning of real transformation. It's not just a mental shift, it's a spiritual one. Your heart, your mind, and your spirit are beginning to realign with what God has always intended for you. You may feel a little resistance. That's natural. You've spent so much time in survival mode that it's hard to imagine anything else. You've been holding on tightly to the things that have kept you going because they were your security. But now, as you begin to awaken, you realize that these things are actually holding you back. You've outgrown them. You can't continue living in the same patterns that kept you alive, but never allowed you to thrive. The old ways are no longer serving you. The familiar struggles that you've endured for so long are now becoming too heavy to carry. It's time to lay them down. The divine interruption you're experiencing is heaven's way of shifting you from a place of survival to a place of thriving. It's not a sudden change, it's a gradual unfolding. You're beginning to see that the life you've been living is not the life you were created for. And as painful as it may be to let go of old habits, toxic relationships, and limiting beliefs, you are being called to do so. It's time to let go of what has been holding you back, even if it feels like security. The life God has for you is bigger, brighter, and more abundant than anything you've known so far. As you begin to awaken, you'll notice that the small things that once seemed to matter so much no longer hold the same weight. The distractions, the frustrations, the things you used to obsess over, they begin to lose their power over you. You start to see clearly what really matters: your purpose, your peace, your spiritual growth. You realize that the survival mode you've been living in is not the abundant life God has promised you. The abundant life is a life of alignment, purpose, and clarity. It's the life where you are fully awake, fully present, and fully aligned with your true calling. This is where transformation begins, when you realize that the life you've been living is no longer enough, and you choose to step into something new. You don't have to know exactly how it's going to happen. You just have to be willing to say yes. Willing to say yes to the change that's stirring inside you. Willing to say yes to the unknown, to the discomfort, to the unfamiliar. And as you do, you will begin to see doors open that you never even knew were there. You'll begin to feel a sense of peace and clarity that you haven't felt in years. The transformation won't be instantaneous, but the moment you decide to step into it, it will begin. This awakening is the beginning of something beautiful. It's the start of a new chapter in your life, one that is aligned with your true purpose. You're not just surviving anymore, you're living. You're no longer just getting by. You're stepping into the fullness of your divine calling. This is the moment when the heavy burden you've been carrying begins to lift, and you realize that the weight you felt was never meant to crush you. It was meant to bring you to this point of awakening, this point of transformation. You may not have all the answers right now, and that's okay. What matters is that you are awake. You are aware. You are ready for the transformation that is unfolding within you. The road ahead may not always be clear, but trust that as you walk it, God will continue to lead you. The divine interruption you're experiencing is not random. It's God's way of saying, I'm ready to move you into the next season of your life, the one I've always destined you for. And as you awaken to that truth, you will begin to see everything fall into place. The transformation is happening now. The survival mode you've been stuck in is over. It's time to live the life you were always meant to live. You've reached a point in your journey where you can no longer ignore the truth. The veil has been lifted, and for the first time in a long while, you're seeing things clearly. Things you've avoided, things you've hidden from yourself, things you've refused to face. It's like waking up from a deep slumber, only to realize that the world around you is not what it seemed. The clarity can be overwhelming, but it is also the beginning of your real transformation. You are no longer in the dark. Now, you can choose to step into the light, no matter how painful it may seem. It's a feeling that many of us can relate to, the sudden awareness that everything you've been doing, all the habits you've been holding on to, are no longer serving you. The things that once felt like a safe space, emotional habits, relationships, even thoughts, are no longer enough to carry you through. They've begun to feel suffocating, stagnant, and limiting. You start to see that your survival mode, the way you've been coping, isn't just a temporary fix anymore. It's a cage you've built around yourself. And now, as the awareness grows, you begin to understand that it's time to break free. But before you can break free, you have to face the truth. You have to confront the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding, the things you've swept under the rug, the emotional wounds you thought you could leave untouched, the patterns of behavior that have kept you stuck. All of it must be brought into the light. This is where the real work begins. It's not easy to confront these truths. It's uncomfortable. It might even feel like a betrayal of the person you thought you were. But it is necessary, because you cannot move forward without first understanding what's been holding you back. You might start to recognize emotional triggers that you never noticed before, moments when you overreact or shut down, times when you feel overwhelmed or misunderstood for reasons that don't make sense. These emotional patterns are not random. They are the echoes of past pain, unresolved trauma, and unhealed wounds. They are the baggage you've been carrying, the invisible weight that has been dictating how you react to the world around you. And for the first time, you begin to see them for what they truly are. Perhaps you realize that your reactions to certain people or situations are rooted in old fears. Maybe you've been carrying around an inner narrative that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of love, success, or peace. This narrative may have been formed in your childhood, from experiences or relationships that shaped your sense of self. But as you awaken, you begin to see that this narrative is a lie. It's not who you are. It's a product of the past, a product of survival mode. And now, it's time to confront it. You also begin to recognize how these unhealed wounds have shaped your relationships. The unhealthy attachments, the people-pleasing behaviors, the fear of rejection, they've all been influenced by the pain you haven't dealt with. And what once felt like self-preservation, a way of keeping the peace, now feels like a prison. These patterns of behavior have been blocking you from experiencing true connection, true love, and true peace. The walls you've built around yourself are no longer protecting you. They are keeping you isolated, stuck in a cycle of emotional numbness. Awareness is painful. It's difficult to see the truth about yourself, especially when it reveals things you don't want to face. It's hard to admit that you've been living in a way that hasn't been serving you, that you've been running away from your own healing, and that you've been avoiding the deep inner work that's required for true transformation. But this is where the real change begins. Awareness is the first step toward breaking free. It's the light that illuminates the darkness and gives you the courage to face what lies ahead. But this awareness is not meant to condemn you. It is meant to set you free. Confronting the truth about yourself is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of growth. It's a sign that you are ready to break free from the patterns and beliefs that have held you captive for so long. You are finally ready to see yourself for who you truly are, not as a product of your past wounds or your emotional scars, but as the whole, healed, and powerful person you are becoming. The key to this transformation is self-compassion. It's about learning to look at yourself with kindness and understanding, instead of judgment and shame. You've carried these burdens for so long, and it's natural to feel overwhelmed by the weight of it all. But you have to remember, healing is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about taking small steps toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. As you face these truths, you'll find that you begin to see yourself differently. You'll start to realize that the things you once feared, the things you once thought defined you, no longer have the same hold on you. The past doesn't control you anymore. It's just a chapter in your story, not the whole book. You are the author of your life, and you have the power to rewrite your narrative. In this awakening, you'll also start to recognize the importance of self-ownership. You can no longer blame others for your pain, your struggles, or your failures. You are responsible for your own healing. This doesn't mean you are at fault for everything that's happened in your life. But it does mean that you have the power to take control of your own journey from this point forward. You are no longer a passive observer. You are an active participant in your transformation. The more you recognize your patterns, your pain, and the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding, the more you can begin to release them. You can begin to heal the wounds that have been holding you back. You can begin to create new habits, new mindsets, and new ways of relating to others that align with your true self. Awareness is the first step, but it's just the beginning. The real work of healing comes when you take ownership of your transformation, when you make the decision to break free from the patterns that have held you captive. This is not easy work, but it is sacred. And it is worth it. The path ahead may be unclear at times, but trust that as you continue to confront yourself and embrace the truth, the way will become clearer. The healing you seek is on the other side of this awareness. The transformation you desire begins the moment you choose to face the truth, no matter how painful it may be. Awakening is not for the faint of heart. It requires bravery. But you are ready. You are more than capable of facing the truth, of confronting the parts of yourself that you've been hiding from, and of breaking free from the patterns that have kept you stuck. This is your moment, the beginning of real change, the beginning of the life you were always meant to live. There's something powerful that happens when you begin to recognize your patterns and the truth that you've been avoiding. It's like pulling back the layers of a long-forgotten part of yourself, and suddenly, everything that was once hidden becomes clear. But this clarity is often not easy. In fact, it's often painful. It's the kind of pain that comes from realizing that you've been living in ways that no longer serve you, that you've been tolerating situations, people, and thoughts that keep you stuck. The deeper you go into your own heart, the more you uncover. And sometimes, it's not what you want to see. You begin to confront the ways you've been avoiding your own truth, the things you've ignored about yourself and your life. The emotional triggers that have been steering your actions start to make sense. You start to see how your fear of rejection, your need for approval, and your habit of running from discomfort have shaped the way you've lived. You see the truth in your relationships, the cycles that have been repeating themselves, and the emotional baggage that's been holding you back. But here's the thing about this process. It's necessary. It's a crucial step in your healing journey. When you begin to recognize these patterns, you can't unsee them. They no longer have the power to control you in the same way. When you start to understand why you react the way you do, why you attract the people or situations you do, you gain the power to make different choices. You no longer have to be a prisoner to your old habits. You now have the awareness to break free. This is not about blaming yourself. It's about understanding. Understanding that the way you've been reacting to life, the way you've been living, isn't necessarily your fault. It's a result of old wounds, past pain, and unmet needs that have shaped your actions. You didn't choose to carry these burdens, but you've carried them nonetheless. And now, you have the opportunity to release them. This truth, this awareness may feel uncomfortable, but it's essential for your healing. It's like the first rays of sunlight after a long, dark night. It's not always easy to adjust to the light, but once your eyes have adjusted, you begin to see clearly. The first part of your transformation is about facing these uncomfortable truths about yourself. It's about understanding the ways in which you've been holding yourself back and choosing to stop tolerating what no longer serves you. You'll begin to notice that the things you've been tolerating, the toxic relationships, the negative self-talk, the emotional suppression, are all part of the old patterns you've lived by. You've been living in survival mode, responding to life's challenges with whatever coping mechanisms worked at the time, but now, those mechanisms no longer fit. They are out of alignment with the person you are becoming, and that misalignment creates tension within you. You feel the pull of what you once knew, and the push toward what you are being called to. This is the pivotal moment of change, when you finally recognize that survival mode, while it may have served you in the past, is no longer sufficient. It's when you realize that you've been living below your potential, responding to life's pressures with reactive behavior, rather than proactive growth. This is when you recognize the need to shift from simply surviving to thriving, from simply reacting to life to becoming an active participant in your own transformation. In this moment, you have the chance to stop lying to yourself. You can no longer avoid the truth. You've tolerated things that drain you, relationships that don't nourish you, habits that keep you stuck. But now, the truth is clear. These things are not aligned with the life you were meant to live. You can no longer stay in the comfort of what you know, even if it feels familiar. You've reached the point where continuing the way you have been will only keep you trapped in the same patterns. You've outgrown your old ways of being, and the awareness of that is the key to your transformation. What happens next is the choice to let go, to choose not to tolerate what hurts, what drains you, and what limits you. It's the choice to let go of relationships that keep you stuck, habits that feed your fear, and thoughts that keep you in a state of survival. Letting go is not easy. It feels like loss. But it's only a loss if you're looking at it through the lens of fear. If you look at it through the lens of growth, letting go becomes a necessary step toward freedom. You see, when you hold on to what no longer serves you, you're holding on to a version of yourself that no longer exists. You're holding on to old versions of yourself. The one who was hurt, the one who believed the lies, the one who lived in fear. Letting go is not about denying the past. It's about acknowledging that the past has shaped you, but it does not define you. You are not the same person you once were. And it's time to stop living like you are. This is where true freedom begins. The more you let go of the old, the more room you make for the new. As you release the emotional weight of your past, you create space for your true self to emerge. The version of you that God has always seen. The version of you that's not bound by the past. The version of you that's capable of stepping into your full potential. The transformation is not immediate. It's a process, one that requires your patience, your dedication, and your willingness to face the discomfort of change. It's a journey of unlearning old patterns, of reprogramming your thoughts and beliefs, and of rebuilding your emotional stability. But as you continue on this journey, you'll begin to see the fruits of your labor. The old triggers won't have the same power over you. The emotional chaos that once defined you will begin to settle into peace. And as you become more aligned with your true self, you'll start to see the world around you change too. You'll begin to attract healthier relationships, opportunities that align with your purpose, and a sense of peace that you've been longing for. The more you confront the truth about yourself, the more you awaken to your true potential. And as you awaken, you will begin to move forward with a sense of clarity and direction that you've never known before. You will no longer be living in reaction to life's circumstances. You will be walking confidently in your purpose, aligned with the truth of who you really are. Awareness is not a one-time event. It is a lifelong process. But it is the first step to living the life you were always meant to live. It's the key to breaking free from the patterns that have kept you in survival mode. And it's the catalyst for the transformation that will lead you into your divine purpose. Now that you've awakened to the truth, there's no turning back. You can no longer ignore the cracks in your foundation, the old habits that once gave you comfort but now feel like chains. You can no longer ignore the emotional wounds, the old patterns, or the ways you've been holding on to things that no longer serve you. The pressure to change is undeniable. The call to heal is loud, and you can't unhear it. But the question is, what happens next? This next phase is the hardest part of the journey healing. It's the phase where you start unlearning everything that has kept you stuck. It's the phase where your emotional responses, which were once reactions to survival, now have to be reshaped. It's uncomfortable, and it feels like you're tearing apart old parts of yourself to make room for something new. You see, when you've been living in survival mode for so long, you've developed certain coping mechanisms that allowed you to get by. You learned how to suppress emotions, how to avoid difficult truths, how to numb the pain. These strategies worked for a while, but they didn't allow you to thrive. They only allowed you to survive. Now that you're awakening, you realize you can't keep doing this anymore. The old patterns are suffocating you, and something has to change. But changing these patterns is not easy. In fact, it feels like you're trying to break free from a prison that you've unknowingly built around yourself. As you begin to dig deeper into your healing, you'll start to unearth the things you've buried. Old hurts, old wounds, old fears that you've tried to ignore or push aside. The emotional baggage that you've been carrying, baggage that you thought you could live without, is now coming to the surface, and it feels overwhelming. You may find yourself facing emotions that you thought you had dealt with, emotions that feel raw and unhealed. But this is the work of transformation. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. You cannot rebuild what you refuse to tear down. The first step in this healing process is allowing yourself to feel. For so long, you've been numb, avoiding your emotions because they were too painful to confront. But now, you have to face them. You have to let yourself feel the hurt, the anger, the fear, the very emotions you've been avoiding. This doesn't mean you stay stuck in these emotions, but it does mean that you allow yourself to experience them. This is where your emotional regulation begins. It's about learning to sit with your emotions without being controlled by them. It's about acknowledging that you've been hurt, but not letting that hurt define you. This process is uncomfortable. It's hard to face the things that have caused you pain. It's hard to confront the parts of yourself that you've been running from. But remember, this is where the healing happens. You have to face the darkness before you can step into the light. You have to release the old in order to make room for the new. The process of healing is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about learning to sit in the discomfort and trust that God is doing a work inside of you that you cannot yet fully understand. As you begin to unlearn old patterns, you also begin to reshape your emotional responses. You will start to recognize the triggers that set you off, the patterns that cause you to react impulsively, the ways in which your emotions control your actions. This is where discipline becomes essential. It's about learning how to respond to your emotions, not react. Instead of reacting out of anger, fear, or insecurity, you begin to respond with clarity, wisdom, and patience. Discipline doesn't mean suppressing your feelings, it means taking ownership of them. It means learning to pause, to breathe, to think before you react. It means recognizing that your emotions, while real, do not have to dictate your behavior. You begin to recognize that you can choose how you respond. You can choose peace instead of chaos, love instead of fear, grace instead of anger. This is where emotional maturity begins to take root. It's not about pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about acknowledging what's going on inside you and making a conscious decision to respond in a healthy, constructive way. You'll begin to realize that the patterns that have kept you stuck, whether in relationships, in work, or in your personal life, are all a result of old emotional habits. You may have been tolerating toxic relationships because you didn't believe you deserved better, or maybe you've been stuck in unhealthy cycles because they felt familiar, even though they weren't healthy. The thing is, you didn't know any better at the time. You were doing the best you could with the tools you had. But now, you're awakening to the truth that these patterns don't serve you anymore. You're recognizing that you are worthy of healthier relationships, of better opportunities, and of peace. Healing requires you to unlearn the lies you've believed about yourself. It requires you to face the pain of your past so you can finally let it go. And it requires you to discipline your mind and emotions so that you can walk forward in freedom. This process is not instant. It takes time. But every step you take, every choice you make, every time you choose to respond with love, with grace, and with patience, you are building new habits, new emotional responses, and a new foundation for your life. This deep healing phase is about more than just dealing with the past. It's about creating new patterns for your future. You are reshaping your life from the inside out. You are no longer a prisoner to your past wounds. You are breaking free from the patterns that have kept you stuck and replacing them with new, healthier patterns that align with your true self. As you continue on this journey, you'll find that emotional stability begins to take root. You'll no longer be tossed around by every wave of emotion. You'll learn to sit with discomfort, to lean into the tension, and to trust that God is using this season of healing to build something stronger inside of you. This is where resilience is born. This is where emotional maturity takes root. And this is where you begin to realize that the pain you've experienced is not for nothing. It has shaped you into the person you are becoming. It has given you the strength to face whatever comes next. And it has prepared you to walk in the fullness of your purpose. Now that you've begun the process of unlearning old behaviors and emotional patterns, you might find yourself standing at the precipice of something new. The discomfort you're experiencing is not meant to break you. It's meant to break down the walls that have kept you from fully stepping into the life you were always meant to live. The tension you're feeling between your past self and the person you're becoming is a sign of growth. Every ounce of discomfort you experience is pushing you closer to the person you were always meant to be. But this journey is not instant. It requires time, patience, and a deep willingness to build something new. As you continue to work through your emotional resets, one of the first things you begin to understand is that emotional healing requires more than just acknowledging your pain. It requires that you rebuild your emotional foundation from the ground up. This is where the real work begins. You've spent so much of your life reacting to the world around you. And now, as you heal, you're learning to respond to it. You're learning to create a solid foundation for your emotions. A foundation that is grounded in truth, self-respect, and spiritual alignment. One of the most significant challenges in this phase of healing is learning how to practice emotional regulation. It's about learning to respond to the emotional triggers that arise in a healthy way, instead of simply reacting out of old habits. When the old wounds come to the surface, and they will, you have to choose to pause, breathe, and assess the situation before jumping into the same patterns of behavior that you once did. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about learning how to handle them. It's about taking ownership of your emotional responses, not letting them control you. Every time you face an emotional trigger, whether it's anger, sadness, fear, or frustration, you have the opportunity to pause and choose a healthier response. You no longer have to react impulsively. You can now respond with clarity and intention. This is where the transformation happens. It's in these small, seemingly insignificant moments that you begin to change. You are learning to sit with your emotions, to observe them, and to choose how to move forward. The more you practice this, the more stable your emotional foundation becomes. This is the power of discipline. In this phase, you will learn that emotional stability does not come by accident. It comes through daily practice. It comes through setting boundaries, learning to say no when necessary, and prioritizing your own emotional health. For so long, you may have put others first, constantly giving to those around you while ignoring your own needs. But now, as you begin to heal, you are learning that it's okay to put yourself first. In fact, it's necessary. As you develop emotional discipline, you begin to set healthier boundaries with others. Boundaries are essential for emotional well-being. They protect your peace and allow you to guard your energy. You will find that as you begin to establish boundaries, the relationships around you start to shift. Some people may not understand your need for space or your refusal to tolerate unhealthy behaviors, but that's okay. You're no longer living for the approval of others. You're learning to honor your own needs, to protect your peace, and to create the emotional space necessary for your growth. As you continue to rebuild your emotional foundation, you'll also start to notice something else. The internal discipline you're developing is spilling over into other areas of your life. You'll begin to feel more grounded in your decisions. You'll find it easier to stay aligned with your purpose. The chaos that once dominated your life begins to dissipate, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. You're no longer swept away by every emotional wave. Instead, you're learning how to stay steady, even when the storm rages around you. This is the power of emotional maturity. The ability to stay grounded and focused in the face of uncertainty. To trust that your foundation is strong enough to weather any storm. But it's not just about surviving the storms. It's about thriving in them. The more you strengthen your emotional foundation, the more resilient you become. You learn to embrace the challenges that come your way, knowing that they are not obstacles to your progress, but opportunities for growth. The healing process is not linear. There will be days when you feel like you've made significant progress, and there will be days when you feel like you've taken 2 steps back. But this is normal. Healing is messy. It's not a straight path. There will be times when old emotional patterns resurface, times when you feel frustrated or discouraged. But in those moments, remember that you are still moving forward. Even when it feels like you're not, you are. Every step, no matter how small, is part of the process. As you continue to rebuild, you will also begin to notice the shifts in your relationships. As you set healthier boundaries and prioritize your emotional well-being, you'll attract new relationships that align with your healed, true self. You'll find that the people who were once draining you are no longer in your life, and those who are meant to walk with you in this new season will begin to show up. You will no longer tolerate relationships that drain you, that diminish your worth, or that keep you stuck in old emotional patterns. You will attract relationships that nourish your soul, that support your growth, and that honor who you truly are. In this phase of healing, you will also learn to rebuild your sense of self-worth. For so long, your worth may have been based on external validation, how others saw you, how successful you were, how much you could give. But as you heal, you begin to realize that your worth is not based on anything external. Your worth is inherent. It is not earned. It is simply who you are. You were created with value, with purpose, and with beauty. As you continue to heal, you will begin to embrace this truth fully. You will begin to walk in your worth, no longer seeking approval or validation from others, but knowing that you are enough, just as you are. The final part of this deep healing phase is emotional reset. It's the point where you finally feel that the work you've done is paying off. The emotional chaos begins to subside, and in its place, you find clarity and peace. You realize that you've been through a process that has reshaped you, that has prepared you for the life you are about to step into. You are no longer the person who was lost in survival mode. You are now someone who is grounded in their identity, their purpose, and their worth. You've faced the uncomfortable truth about yourself, and you've allowed yourself to heal. You've confronted the old emotional patterns, the unhealthy behaviors, and the unhealed wounds that have held you back. And now, you stand at the threshold of a new beginning, ready to step into the fullness of your divine purpose. As you continue on this journey of transformation, you begin to realize something profound. This isn't just about healing your wounds. It's about stepping into the identity you were always meant to embody. The person you've been becoming isn't a new version of yourself, it's the true version of yourself. The person you were always destined to be, the one that was buried beneath the layers of past trauma, fear, and self-doubt. This awakening is your divine moment, the moment you step into your full identity, no longer defined by what you've endured, but by what you are becoming. This process of identity rebirth is not always immediate. It's the gradual shedding of old patterns, old ways of thinking, and old ways of being. It's the realization that you are not what has happened to you, nor are you defined by the struggles you've faced. You are the person you've always been called to be, and you are walking into that identity now, piece by piece. But here's the thing about this new identity. It isn't always easy to embrace. You may still find yourself clinging to old patterns and beliefs, even though they no longer serve you. It's the natural resistance that comes with transformation. There is comfort in what is familiar, even if what is familiar is holding you back. The shift from surviving to thriving requires you to step away from what feels comfortable, what feels safe, and into something unknown, something uncertain, but far greater. The first major shift in this process is understanding that the generational patterns you've been living with are not your destiny. You may have inherited emotional wounds, patterns of thinking, or cycles of behavior that have been passed down through the generations. It's as though you've been carrying the weight of your ancestors' struggles, fears, and limitations without even knowing it. You may have felt the effects of these inherited patterns, whether it's a fear of failure, a tendency to fall into toxic relationships, or a belief that you don't deserve success. These patterns, though they feel like your own, are not yours to carry. This moment of awakening, the realization that you are not bound by what has been passed down to you, is a powerful one. It's the first step in breaking free from the chains that have held your family, your ancestors, and even you, captive. And the truth is, you have been chosen to break these cycles. You are the one who has been called to step into a new legacy, one that is rooted not in fear, but in faith, not in limitation, but in possibility. As you begin to awaken to this truth, you start to recognize the old patterns for what they are, nothing more than the enemy's attempts to keep you stuck. The fear, the self-doubt, the unhealthy attachments, these are the generational strongholds that have been controlling you. But now, as you confront them, you begin to see them for what they are: lies. Lies that you've believed for far too long. Lies that no longer have any power over you. Breaking these generational chains is not a one-time event, it is a process. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to face the uncomfortable truth about the patterns that have shaped you. But as you continue to work through these generational strongholds, you will begin to see the power of your healing. You will see how your ability to confront these cycles with strength and clarity is not just healing your own heart, it is healing your family line. You are breaking free from the things that have held your ancestors captive, and you are setting a new course for future generations. It's in this process of breaking generational chains that you awaken the warrior spirit inside of you. The warrior spirit is the part of you that rises up when everything inside you wants to give up. It is the strength that emerges when you feel like you have nothing left. It is the courage to face your fears, your doubts, and your insecurities head-on, knowing that the battle you're fighting is bigger than you. It's not just about you. It's about the legacy you are creating for those who come after you. It's about the future you are building, the world you are shaping, and the healing you are bringing to your family, to your community, and to yourself. This warrior spirit is not about physical strength. It's about emotional resilience, spiritual clarity, and mental fortitude. It's the ability to stand firm in your identity, no matter what comes against you. The warrior spirit inside you understands that the battle you're facing is not just against your circumstances or your struggles, it's a battle for your identity, for your purpose, and for your destiny. And as you confront these generational cycles, you will find that your warrior spirit rises to the surface, ready to take on whatever comes next. The warrior spirit is also about recognizing the power of stillness. It's easy to think that being a warrior means always fighting, always pushing forward, always doing more. But the true strength of a warrior lies in knowing when to fight and when to rest. The stillness, the quiet moments, are just as powerful as the battles you fight. It's in those moments of stillness that you gain clarity, insight, and the strength to move forward with confidence. As you step into your true identity and awaken this warrior spirit, you will find that you are not the same person you once were. The fear that once held you back, the doubt that once kept you stuck, are no longer as powerful. You are no longer defined by your past, your struggles, or your wounds. You are stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. This transformation is not just about you, it's about the people you will impact. The healing you experience will spread to those around you. As you break free from the chains of the past, you will be able to help others do the same. You will become a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of transformation, and a source of strength for those still walking through their own struggles. Your journey will inspire others to take the same steps of healing and growth, and the warrior spirit inside you will become a light for others to follow. As you move deeper into your divine assignment, you begin to feel the strength of the warrior spirit awakening within you. This is the same spirit that has been lying dormant, waiting for the right time to rise. And now, the time is here. You may have already sensed it, the deep, unshakable courage that surges within you when you face your challenges. This is the power of your true self emerging, the part of you that refuses to settle for less than God's best. For so long, you've been stuck in patterns of fear, doubt, and insecurity. You've been trapped in cycles that have kept you bound to your past. But now, with the warrior spirit awakening within you, you are beginning to understand that you have the power to overcome anything that stands in your way. This is the true identity God has called you to embrace, a person of strength, courage, and purpose, who is not afraid to confront what needs to be changed and step boldly into the life you were meant to lead. Embracing this warrior spirit is not about fighting in the traditional sense. It's about spiritual warfare. It's about having the strength to face the battles in your life head on, and understanding that the true fight is often within. The enemy seeks to break your spirit, to fill your mind with lies, to convince you that you cannot step into your purpose, that you are too broken, too weak, or too undeserving. But the warrior spirit within you knows that these lies are not the truth. You are stronger than you realize. You have already overcome so much, and you are now walking in the victory that God has prepared for you. The power of the warrior spirit lies in its resilience. The warrior spirit doesn't give up, even when faced with failure, rejection, or pain. It rises again and again, stronger each time. It is grounded in a deeper understanding of your identity, rooted in the knowledge that God has called you to greatness. This spirit is not afraid of challenges. It welcomes them as opportunities for growth and transformation. But here's the truth. Being a warrior isn't always about fighting with force. It's about fighting with wisdom, discernment, and patience. The warrior spirit is not reckless or impulsive. It is strategic. It knows when to fight and when to stand still, when to act and when to wait. And it waits with patience, trusting that God is in control of the outcome, knowing that every battle faced is an opportunity for personal growth and divine alignment. This is the spiritual battle you've been preparing for, whether you've realized it or not. As you step into your true identity, you begin to realize that you are not just fighting for yourself, you are fighting for the generations before you and those who will come after you. The battles you fight today are not just about your own healing. They are about breaking the generational chains that have held your family and lineage captive. You are standing in the gap for the past and the future. The warrior spirit within you is not just for personal empowerment, but for spiritual warfare that impacts the world around you. There will be times when this path feels lonely, when the battle seems too great, when the weight of the struggle feels unbearable. But remember, a warrior's strength doesn't come from fighting alone. It comes from knowing that you are supported by the power of God, the strength of your faith, and the courage within you. As you embrace the warrior spirit, you'll realize that you are never alone. God is with you in every battle, strengthening you, guiding you, and empowering you to fight with purpose. The warrior spirit also means knowing your limits and allowing yourself to rest when necessary. This is the wisdom that comes with spiritual maturity, the ability to discern when to push forward and when to step back, when to engage and when to retreat. In your journey of healing and stepping into your purpose, there will be moments when you need to pause, reflect, and recharge. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Your strength comes from staying aligned with God's will and trusting in His timing. The warrior spirit knows that rest is just as vital as action. Without it, you will burn out. With it, you will be recharged and ready for the next battle, equipped with fresh wisdom and renewed energy. As you continue to embrace this new identity, you'll also begin to see the impact of your transformation on the world around you. The people in your life will begin to notice the changes in you, how you carry yourself with more confidence, how you speak with more clarity, how your presence brings peace and strength. You will begin to lead by example, inspiring others to rise to their own callings and awaken the warrior spirits within themselves. The warrior spirit you carry is contagious. As you rise, others will see your strength and be drawn to it. They will want to know how you found your power, how you overcame the obstacles in your life, how you found the courage to walk in your purpose. And as you share your story, you will inspire others to step into their own healing and transformation. In embracing the warrior spirit, you begin to walk in your true calling, not just as someone who survives life, but as someone who thrives in the midst of adversity. The battles you've faced have made you who you are today. You are stronger, wiser, and more equipped to handle what comes next. You are a force to be reckoned with, a living testament to the power of transformation, and a beacon of hope for those who are still lost in the darkness. This warrior spirit inside of you is not just a gift for yourself, it's a gift for the world. As you rise into your true identity, you become a light to others. You become someone who leads, who inspires, and who uplifts. You become someone who walks in the fullness of their purpose, with clarity, strength, and unshakable confidence. You were born to break free from the chains of the past, to rise above the fear and doubt, and to step into the powerful, purpose-filled life God has prepared for you. This is your moment. This is your time to embrace the warrior spirit within and walk boldly into the future you were always meant to live. You've arrived at a pivotal moment in your journey, a moment when everything you've been through, every challenge you've faced, and every lesson you've learned has prepared you for what lies ahead. You are standing on the threshold of something great, something life-changing. It's no longer about merely surviving. It's about stepping into your true divine purpose with clarity, confidence, and unwavering conviction. You've fought the battles, you've healed from the wounds, and now, you're ready to rise into the life you were always meant to live. As you step into your divine assignment, everything begins to align. The fog that once clouded your vision is lifting, and you can see your path with newfound clarity. This clarity isn't just about understanding where you're going, it's about knowing who you are and why you're here. You no longer have to search for meaning or validation outside of yourself. The answers are already within you, and you can feel the weight of that truth in your soul. This moment is not just a realization, it is a calling. It's the moment when you step into the full knowledge of your divine purpose and begin to walk in the authority God has given you. You no longer question whether you are worthy of the life you've dreamed of. You are worthy. You no longer wonder if you are capable of fulfilling your purpose. You are capable. You no longer fear that you will be left behind. You are on the right path, and it's time to walk in it with full confidence. Walking in your divine assignment means stepping into the power that has been waiting for you all along. This power isn't something you have to find. It's already within you, waiting to be unleashed. As you embrace your purpose, you are tapping into the wellspring of strength, wisdom, and discernment that God has equipped you with. This is where you begin to understand that the challenges you faced were not meant to break you. They were meant to prepare you for this moment. Every struggle, every obstacle, every moment of doubt has been part of the process that has shaped you into the person you are today. And now, with this newfound clarity and confidence, you begin to see the opportunities that have always been around you. They may have been there all along, but now you can see them with clear eyes. You see the relationships that align with your purpose, the opportunities that align with your calling, and the doors that have been waiting to be opened. It's like the world is finally falling into place. You no longer feel lost or uncertain. You feel certain of your direction, certain of your purpose, and certain of your ability to move forward. You may find that as you step into your purpose, you encounter some resistance. The enemy doesn't want you to step into your divine calling. He doesn't want you to walk in the fullness of your power, because he knows that when you do, you will be unstoppable. But here's the truth. Resistance is a sign that you are on the right path. The enemy fights the hardest when you are closest to breakthrough. And as you continue to move forward, you will find that the resistance becomes less and less powerful. You will learn to recognize it for what it is, an attempt to keep you from stepping into your purpose, and you will rise above it. This is where your spiritual maturity comes into play. The more you step into your purpose, the more confident you become in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. You've learned to trust yourself, to trust God's guidance, and to trust the path He has laid out for you. You no longer need to rely on external validation or approval. You know that you are on the right path, and that knowledge gives you the strength to keep moving forward, no matter what. One of the most powerful shifts that happens when you step into your divine assignment is the way you begin to impact those around you. As you walk in your purpose, you become a beacon of light for others. Your clarity, your confidence, and your peace become contagious. People are drawn to you, not because of anything you've done, but because of who you are, someone who is living authentically, someone who is walking in the truth of their divine calling. You may not even realize the impact you are having on others. Your presence alone is enough to inspire them to take action, to step into their own purpose, and to embrace their own healing. The way you carry yourself calm, grounded, and confident becomes a living testimony of the power of transformation. You are living proof that it is possible to heal, to grow, and to walk in your divine purpose, no matter where you've come from or what you've been through. As you continue on this journey, you will find that your purpose begins to unfold in ways you never imagined. Opportunities that align with your calling will begin to show up, and you will be ready to step into them. Relationships will deepen, and new connections will form, all aligned with your divine path. You will no longer be chasing after things. You will no longer be scrambling for answers. Everything you need will come to you in perfect timing, because you are now walking in alignment with God's will for your life. This is the power of walking into your divine assignment. It's not about striving. It's not about pushing or forcing things to happen. It's about trusting the process, trusting God's timing, and walking in the confidence that everything you need is already available to you. Your divine purpose is unfolding before your eyes, and you are more than capable of fulfilling it. The clarity you've gained, the confidence you've developed, and the authority you've stepped into have prepared you for this moment. You are not just living for yourself anymore. You are living for a greater purpose, one that impacts the world around you in ways you may never fully understand. But that's okay. You don't need to understand it all right now. All you need to do is keep moving forward in faith. As you step fully into your divine assignment, you begin to realize something profound. This is not just about you. It's about the people you will impact, the lives you will touch, and the purpose you are meant to fulfill in the world. There is a sense of peace that comes when you are fully aligned with your purpose. A peace that doesn't come from external circumstances, but from deep within your soul. It's the peace that comes from knowing that you are exactly where you're meant to be, doing exactly what you were created to do. For so long, you may have felt lost, unsure of your direction, or unclear about your calling. But now, everything begins to make sense. The experiences, the struggles, the lessons, they were all preparing you for this moment. You may not have known it at the time, but every part of your journey was leading you here, to the place where you are walking fully in alignment with your purpose. You feel the weight of your calling, but it doesn't feel like a burden anymore. It feels like a responsibility you are eager to embrace. There is a confidence that comes with knowing your purpose. It is a quiet confidence, rooted in the understanding that you are part of a much bigger plan. You no longer have to search for validation, approval, or success. You know that you are walking in God's will, and that's all the assurance you need. As you step into your purpose, you begin to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your calling. This isn't coincidence. This is divine alignment. When you are walking in your purpose, you create a magnetic energy that draws the right people and the right opportunities toward you. Your energy, your presence, your peace, they attract the things that are meant for you. Relationships that were once strained or difficult begin to flow more naturally. People who align with your values, your vision, and your heart start to enter your life. Opportunities that felt impossible suddenly become available to you, and doors that were once closed begin to swing wide open. This alignment goes beyond what you can see in the natural. It is spiritual. It's the unseen hand of God, guiding you to exactly where you need to be. You'll begin to notice the small coincidences that seem to happen at the perfect time. An opportunity that appears when you need it most. A person who enters your life with exactly the help or wisdom you need. A moment of clarity that leads to a breakthrough. These are not accidents. This is God orchestrating every detail of your life, guiding you to your divine assignment. With this alignment comes influence. Not the kind of influence that comes from power or prestige, but the kind of influence that comes from walking in your truth, from living in alignment with your purpose. People will begin to see your authenticity, your confidence, and your peace, and they will be drawn to it. You'll find that your words carry more weight, your actions have more impact, and your presence brings clarity to those around you. This influence doesn't come from you trying to prove yourself. It comes from you simply being who you were meant to be. Your presence alone becomes a testimony of transformation. People will look at your life and wonder how you found the peace, the strength, and the clarity you now carry. And when they ask, you'll be able to share the story of your journey, the story of how you broke free from survival mode, healed from the past, and stepped into the life you were always meant to live. Your story becomes a powerful witness to the power of God's transformation, and it inspires others to step into their own purpose. But with this influence also comes responsibility. The more you walk in alignment with your divine purpose, the more you will be called to lead, to guide, and to serve. You are not walking this journey for yourself alone. You are walking it to make an impact, to help others heal, to inspire those who are still in the dark, to step into their own transformation. You were not created to be a passive observer in your own life. You were created to lead, to teach, and to guide others into the same healing and growth that you've experienced. You may begin to see how your purpose goes beyond your own desires and ambitions. It becomes about serving others, about using the gifts and talents that God has given you to make a difference in the world. Your influence grows not because you strive for it, but because it is a natural outflow of living in alignment with your calling. When you walk in your divine purpose, you can't help but influence those around you. It's part of the package deal. As you begin to see the impact you're having, you'll realize that the victories you've experienced over fear, doubt, insecurity, and your past are not just for you. They are for those who will look to you as an example. They are for the ones who are still struggling, still searching, still in need of hope. Your life becomes a testimony of what is possible when you walk in faith and obedience to God's call. This moment of breakthrough when you step into the fullness of your purpose is not just about achieving success for yourself. It's about using your life as a vessel to bring healing, light, and hope to the world around you. It's about understanding that you are a part of a much bigger picture, that your purpose is not just for you, but for those who need to see what's possible. In this process of stepping into your purpose, you also begin to see that the old struggles, the old fears, and the old doubts no longer have the same grip on you. The enemy will still try to attack, to discourage, to distract. But now, you are walking in a new level of strength and clarity. You are equipped to handle whatever comes your way because you know that God has already given you everything you need to succeed. This is the confidence that comes from walking in your divine assignment, not a confidence in your own abilities, but a confidence in God's power working through you. You are no longer living in survival mode. You are no longer walking aimlessly, uncertain of your next step. You are walking with purpose, clarity, and confidence. Your life is no longer defined by what you've endured, but by the victory you now walk in. You are stepping into the life you were always meant to live. And with every step, you are making an impact on the world around you. Thank you so much for joining us on this divine journey today. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We want to keep spreading these life-changing insights to those who need it the most. Your support helps us reach more people, and together, we can create a wave of transformation that will ripple across the world. If you're ready to embrace the transformation that's unfolding in your life, let us know in the comments below. Remember, your breakthrough is coming, and we're here to walk with you every step of the way. Stay aligned, stay faith-filled, and see you in the next video.